Good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety for the City of Huntington on May 5th, 2025. We will call the meeting to order beginning with a roll call.
Mayor Strick,
Present.
Daniel Albertson,
Present.
Megan Bonbry,
Present.
Anthony Listinkia.
Present.
Thank you. And having established a quorum for the conducting of city business, we'll proceed along to consideration of the minutes from the previous meeting of April 21st. Is there a motion to bring those minutes to the floor for consideration and adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second regarding the minutes from the previous meeting. Further discussion and consideration. Not seeing or hearing any at this time, we will call the question in favor of adoption of the minutes as submitted. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Not aware of any items on the agenda under old business. Moving along to consideration of new business. First item is a special event request for Forrester Films, and we've got a variety of locations and dates involved with this that are some changes from the original. So is there a motion to bring this to the floor for consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, and with us we have Dr. Matt Webb from the university. Walk us through the plan a little bit.
Yes, of course. So this summer we're be filming our third feature film through the university in Forrester Film. And we are requesting for some assistance to be able to film in and around some streets in the area on a number of different days. I'll walk you through the request chronologically, if that works good. The first one is for Thursday, May 22nd. And this is to take place on the northernmost block of Oak Street. From approximately 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. It'll probably be much less than that. Our request is to put barricades at McGann and at Edith on Oak Street, so not blocking traffic on McGann or Edith, so that we can safely film on that street. And it'll probably take 2 or 3 hours of that, but we wanted to put in some wiggle room just for safety. And what would be happening in that moment, if it's interesting to you all, is we'd be filming an actor on a mobile electric wheelchair riding down the street and filming him as he tries to escape his retirement center. So that's the first one. And we have spoken with several folks from the city about these plans already. We met last week with fire department, police, the street worker, like the folks construction, that sort of thing, parks department. And so that's the first one. The second one is for May 30th. That's a Friday. And this is on Park Hill Drive, which is just north of Memorial Park. And we'll be filming at a private residence there. And so we're asking for safety between the hours of 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. To put a blockade up at Monastery Place and at St. Felix Court. So just that little section there of Park Hill Drive. There are about 4 or 5 homes that will be there. And so we'll, at all of these places, we'll have people that will be standing at the barricades that can allow people in and out as needed. Our crew members will be. But that's a request. We'll be able to leave it open for quite a bit of the time, but there is a section of the film that takes place where they're walking out down to the street, and just for safety, we'd keep our actors and our crew. On the next one, this is the bigger one. This is on June 2nd. It's a Monday. And on this one, we're trying to film a stunt sequence down here by the courthouse on Jefferson Street. And so for this, what we would like to do is secure the roads, secure Jefferson between Washington and Court Street. We would only need to be on the northern 2 blocks from about 6 a.m. till about noon, and then from the southern 2 blocks from noon to about 6. And this is a stunt sequence where there'll be a truck that will be pulling a couch on a trailer down the road, and there'll be a stunt artist who will be riding on the couch, and it's mounted to the trucks. They would come down Jefferson, and then so in the morning we'd be filming them driving down Jefferson and in front of the different buildings and things like that, the downtown area, with extras that are staring and gawking and that sort of a thing. The second half of the day, the plan would be to be down by the courthouse, and there the stunt sequence changes to the couch coming untowed and riding up onto the sidewalk and destroying a fake statue that's about to be unveiled and inaugurated in the town. And then in the story, the kids get in a bunch of trouble for doing this stupid prank. The idea then would be that we would have 30 or so extras that would be down at the northwest corner of the courthouse, and everything would be really contained to that area, and we would move the blockades from up north all the way down to intersection of Market Street, and so Market would be open. Washington would be open all day. Market would be open from noon on. And then after talking with the different safety departments last week, they suggested that we have everything moved in to the alleyways so traffic can continue go up and down the alleys and have access to the different parking lots that are off of Cherry and off of Warren. And so we wouldn't be interrupting any traffic with the highway at all. We do recognize that Monday is a busy morning at the courthouse, which is why we want to stay up on the blocks that morning. And then things get a little easier in the afternoon, and that's where we would move down to the courthouse. We also recognize that this has an impact on lots of folks because it's downtown. So we have reached out to most of the folks, most of the businesses in the area. We've communicated with over 20 of them, and so far most of them are amenable. We do recognize that there are challenges, and we don't want to disrupt downtown business. A big reason that we want to film downtown is actually to continue to create, and bring business and celebrate the downtown area through the film. And many of the folks were excited about it. They're saying things like, helps put Huntington on the map or whatever, maybe. But we do recognize that this could have a negative impact. So we would like to work with the businesses that feel like they would be negatively impacted in a way, help support their businesses those days as best we can. We've spoken with, and we're hoping that we can buy coffee and chocolate and that sort of a thing for the movie to help offset any costs that lost during that morning, because I know that's a heavy foot traffic. And haven't really heard from other businesses yet asking for other requests, but certainly trying to work around that. So that would be the biggest impact day for sure. The next date would be June 10th, and this is back up on Oak Street. And this would be both of the top blocks of Oak Street, but we would do them separately. So one block at one section we would do from McGann to Edith, and we would remove those barriers, and then we would move down from Edith to Agnes. And again, never blocking Edith or McGann. And so the estimated time on that would be 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, we would split it, an hour or two one side, an hour or two on the other, and it probably wouldn't take the whole 4. That's literally just getting, a car and a truck and going the sofa past the camera. The last request, it'd be for that same day, June 10th. And this would be roughly from 12 noon to 4 p.m., and that would be up the high school on Viking Lane. And again, just having a truck pulling a sofa down Viking Lane and past the football field. We've spoken with the principal, Russ Deggets, and he's confirmed that date and those times. And it doesn't seem like that would be an inconvenience to them. They welcomed us. I don't know what other questions you all might have, but that's sort of the rundown of our plans for our 5 weeks of filming. And yeah, what kind of questions do you have?
Well, thank you. Obviously, this one's a little bit more involved than the typical special event request we get. So, board members, any questions or inquiries at this point? I have several, but we'll lead off with others.
Yeah, I have some.
I do as well.
Want to go first? Go ahead.
Sure. I'm glad you're speaking with the businesses downtown. I myself work downtown, Middle Market, and I'm glad that you are reaching out. That is a big deal to us. But with the residents and up on Oak Street, have you spoken with the residents who live up there that you will be blocking off within that 8 to 1 period? Have you spoken with them?
We haven't spoken to the residents of Oak Street yet. Typically what we'll do when we are filming in and around town is we go about a week in advance by people, and then we come back 48 hours and remind people with a placard, like a sheet that's got contact information.
Okay.
The plan for filming up on Oak Street, we have some friends that live up, is to really focus our attention around places that are welcoming to us, and so that we would, and again, move quick.
And what I've seen in other communities, and if I recall correctly from one of your previous projects near College Park Church,
Yeah.
you have somebody stationed at the barricades, and so
Yes.
it's not that residents lose access, it's they might be held
Correct.
and then released between shoots. Is that correct?
Correct. That is the idea. So I'd mentioned before that we would, at all of these places, we would have crew members that are at the barricades. And so anybody that would need to get out would move the barricades out of the way and let them through. Anybody that's a resident that would be able to get in safely without unintentionally like bringing any fear to the cast or crew that's in the area, we would also be willing to to move things out of the way to get them in, especially downtown because of the UB housing and that. And in fact, we've saved a lot of parking in that area around. There's a parking lot across from the courthouse that is we've asked to leave open with just 2 spots for ourselves to put cars that left there from 2000.
Anthony?
Was that all you had?
Pretty much. I was just touching base with speaking to the people that will be mostly affected, with the businesses and the residents.
Did you talk to the gas station at the end of Viking Lane?
No, we didn't. Our thought was that we should, but there are 2 entrances
Yeah.
and exits out of that,
Right.
and so we wouldn't have to block all of their entrances and exits out. We would be open actually to moving the barricade down past, because we don't need to film north of the northeast of the softball. However, I think it would be confusing for people that turned onto Viking Lane and find themselves stuck then. So it's probably better to put the barricade up at the corner if possible.
I don't think it matters. I would just, if I own that gas station, I would want to know that something like this.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, we will be. Yeah.
Park a food truck there and a vehicle at one of the entrances and block it off, so that if that's there, that could create
A
another
little bit of a log
distraction.
jam. Yeah.
Tell me again about the 6/2 date. So run down the streets again. I mean, most of the businesses down here are closed on Mondays.
A lot of them are, but not all.
But not all of them, right?
Yeah.
So you said that, so what's going to be closed from 6 to noon?
Um, we don't need this one anymore to make sure that there's access up and down the alley. We've done some measurements, and it looks like with the truck coming down in the tow, we should be able to U-turn, come up here and U-turn there safely, so that we can leave alleyways open and not go in there. From 6 to noon, it would be a barricade here, down to here. If we need to have this open, we can. We just need to, there will be some activity down here doing some pre-setting of things. But really the action takes place right here. From noon on, the barricade would go here, and this one would stay down here.
So this is the exception to the not fully closed, like you have on Oak Street?
Correct.
These are fully closed.
So for driving, anyone could still get out if they were in, but we would ask not to let people in except for housing down here or up here or here or here, just sort of on a, it would be a one-off sort of a basis. They would have to be sort of held, because there would be traffic, camera traffic up and down here. So we could still let people in and out, but I think the hold time might be a little longer. If that makes any sense?
So walkers, you're not going to let walkers through?
Oh, no, walkers could come through.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, foot traffic, for sure. Yeah,
Okay.
there would be no problem with foot traffic.
Okay.
Yeah, no, foot traffic for all of this would be wide open all day. It would only be driving traffic.
Okay.
Yeah, we're happy to have foot traffic. We would put up signs saying, "Hey, if you're walking through here, just know you might be in." That's a standard sort of procedure when you're filming.
I get more than you bargained for.
Yeah, but it would be wide open for foot traffic. I'm sorry if that was not.
No,
clear.
it's okay. That's why we're asking
That
questions.
helps to clarify. So then really, it's the street traffic, primarily down Jefferson, that would be restricted, held with a longer hold time, and limited or no parking on those blocks, but they could park on the cross streets when they get access, and they could walk to shops that are open.
Yes. And our thought was if we put the barricades on the inside of the alley, there is still some parking on the
Traffic flow.
ends of the streets there. This parking lot down here would be open. We would only need those 2 parking spots there, so that could be accessible through the alley. All of this parking could be open in the morning. We would, by the afternoon, want to try to clear that parking and put some period cars in there. Just as people are leaving, we would move period cars that we're using down into those parking spaces.
So are you going to ask that all the cars be cleared of this area? Like you're closing the street? Or if someone parked there overnight, you guys get up, you're there at 6 a.m., there are all these cars parked on the street?
Yeah, so we've requested that there be no parking, posted no parking signs just in the morning, and that we would go in and notify everybody again 48 hours in advance that we will be filming there. And then again, we would let everybody out. Anybody can, that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't want to let anybody else in unless they were going to be parking outside of like a camp. And that's actually a good question, though. We'll be filming from this direction, that direction. So the camera will be on the west side, filming east. So there's also a good possibility that there can be parking on this side that it won't matter if it's period cars, and it won't matter if it's people that need to come home from work or something like that, or residents there, that we could have folks being parked there all day long. And if people were coming in, we would just make sure that our period cars were east side of the road as opposed to the west side of Jeff.
Well, that was going to be my next question. What if we do have the no parking and there happens to be some vehicles left over that don't move? And if you need to tow them, is that going to be on
No,
somebody's dime, or are they just
I think
going
we
to?
would deal with it.
Okay.
I presume you're gonna have people running around with radios, and it's gonna be really.
Oh, yeah. Everybody on the crew has radios and walkies that are communicating every day and all the time. It'll be a very secured environment. We've got stunt coordinators and artists coming from Chicago. Our actors are coming from all over the country, even from Europe. And so it'll be a controlled professional environment. It's not a student film. It's a professional film. All professional department heads.
The only safety concern I had was like the walkers and shoppers during the stunt event.
Yeah. So I think what we would do is if they're willing to be, typically what we do is if they're willing to be on camera, we let them walk along the sidewalk, that sort of a thing. If they don't want to be on camera, we would just hold them until we stop rolling. And as far as the safety of it, it's a truck pulling a trailer. We're not super concerned about the safety of. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a very unsafe environment for anybody except for the person riding. And that stunt artist is being rigged to the sofa, by the stunt coordinator, and the drivers of the vehicles will also be stunt artists. They're professional stunt artists from Chicago. So everyone who's managing that are all professional stunt.
So nothing explodes.
Sadly, no.
Okay.
No pyrotechnics in this movie. No pyrotechnics.
Thank you.
One of the items you identified was, for the party shop is the main business that we're concerned about for economic impact.
Sure.
And so you mentioned about sourcing coffee and snacks and sweets from there for your crew.
Yeah.
Lynette, is that something that you guys have discussed and talked a little bit further about, or is that something that still needs worked out? Mhm.
Well, no. Well, it's not a done deal unless it gets approved here, and that was a miscommunication. Everyone will be coming in, but if we're not able to film downtown on June 2nd, we'll just have to do something different.
Go to
So
Wabash?
one of the items that was,
Maybe. Well, yeah, possibly, yeah.
that's not happening. One of the items that was raised as a possible situation would be to film on June 1st. I'm sure that's something you guys have looked at. Can you explain to us why June 1st is not an option, but June 2nd works?
Yeah, thanks. And she did mention, we did talk about this the other day. It's honestly, it's sort of the same reason that there's not construction on Sundays. We're working with unions that are part of the team, and so we're contracted Monday through Friday. Because of certain regulations with unions and with the rules for filming, we have a certain number of hours that have to be off, from day to day. And so to move it to a Sunday isn't really an option, unfortunately. We did look and try to see if we could, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not really an option for us.
But there will be open access throughout for foot traffic, being able to get in and out of the downtown shops. It'll be the inconvenience of not being able to park right in front of the front door of the business you're going to.
Yes, sir.
Correct. Okay. Any other questions by board members?
Rain or shine?
It's a great question you ask. Safety is a huge concern if it's raining. So that would have to be a punt. I think that we've already spoken about June 9th not being an option because of Heritage Day is coming up. We can't really move it forward because of cast coming in and out. We've already rearranged our cast for this potential date after we found out that June 9th wasn't an option. Don't think that we could probably bring the cast. Well, I don't think we could bring all of the cast back for the 17th, the 16th. The 16th, if for whatever reason it was rained out on the 2nd. But that would be, I mean, this happens. Yeah, so sometimes you have to.
For the department heads who have signed off on this or reviewed it, standing concerns or issues, or are we good?
So one thing that I just realized, and I apologize for not picking up on this earlier, our ability to block Franklin Street west of Jefferson would have to be at Jefferson. The section where it's blocked is private. We can't cut off access to vacated Franklin Street, for lack of a better term.
So I'm sorry, you're saying on the west side?
This right here.
There. Okay.
And then is this indicative of no parking?
So this is indicative of where we would put our vehicles, that lot, available.
And who's letting the permit holders know?
Well, we would be responsible for notifying the permit holders. It's city-controlled access.
Okay.
And then this building here, where Copper Cord was.
Yep.
We're actually working with Parker to use that space as green rooms for our actors, and for holding for cast or crew members, and that's during the day in that building.
And like I said, that's private, and if they're okay with it. The only other thing I would say with regard to notifying the businesses and the residents alike, they deserve more than a week's notice. People have graduation parties, birthday parties, and other things. I, as a department head, am not comfortable on any of the closures unless everybody at least has been notified. It's up to the board ultimately as to weigh the concerns of the business owners and the petitioner, but those folks deserve more than a week's notice.
We're happy to notify folks as soon as possible if we get approved.
No, before it's approved. They need to be able to have input on this process.
I see.
Just the same that Lynette was upset, that conceivably it was approved without an opportunity for input. Those folks deserve the same benefit.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Thank you.
Those are my concerns.
And could you maybe do something like with, I'm sure HU has a big following, things, could you do something maybe to really promote the use of the downtown businesses since there's going to be so much foot traffic, and like, hey, make sure you're really stopping in to, just really promote like stopping into the downtown businesses to really maybe try to
Yeah,
Find a happy medium, just
We'd
to
be
like,
we'd be happy to do that. And in fact, even on the barricades, we'd love to hang signs and things that say, businesses are still open, foot traffic,
yes, please, just
Yeah.
really, because I don't want
Yeah.
people to think, since I can't drive through, I can't come down.
Exactly.
Because if this is something we really do want to support, just really make sure people know that you can still come to support downtown
Yeah.
businesses. Because if they think that they can't reach their restaurants or, the party shop because, Lynette's got a lot of my money. And I want people to know that they still can come. Because if
Yes.
they're following your pages, if people are coming out from
Yeah,
around
we'd
the
be happy to
area,
do that.
do the best to support the downtown. So
We'd
if
be
you
happy.
can do it on your socials or whatever.
Sure. Yeah, we can
just
push that. We can push it out from our film websites as well as the Huntington University
Yeah.
websites. And like I said, we can put signs and things on the barricades saying foot traffic is open. Please,
Yes,
please
really let
come.
them know to come in and just to try to make that happy
Yep.
medium to still.
Any way
get
to
in.
support. We recognize that this is a disruption, and there's no doubt about it. We want to have as little negative impact as possible, but we would really like to do it if it's possible, and we hope that it could have a really positive impact long term. I know that Monday could be tough, but I really hope it has a long term impact that's positive.
You just have to try to find those little happy mediums everywhere.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, and certainly willing to compromise as much as we can. Folks from streets and fire, and it's really honed it in as much.
Anything else from streets or public safety? Good? Okay. All right, any further questions by board
I
members?
had one other statement, and this could be just my age on the board, but I seem to recall one point, did we have a similar situation where we moved that northernmost barrier on Jefferson further down so that there was access to come in and park, and if people wanted to go out, they could go back out on the Rotary parking lot? Am I thinking, we done that before for something else?
Rotary Park is up here, above where,
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, that's Washington then. Okay.
and we're not asking to block Washington.
Okay.
You are getting old, Anthony.
Yep,
The memory's
thanks.
slipping.
All right, further questions or discussion by board members? Okay, not hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor of approval of the special event request with the appropriate accommodations and coordination with businesses and immediate notices to residents and seeking to accommodate any needs they have regarding graduation parties or otherwise. So that is the question at hand. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll be relying on you to follow through with that coordination and communication as soon as possible and to work out arrangements with the downtown businesses to ensure their customers are aware that they remain open and available for foot traffic. Next item, special event request, Jeff Fest on June 15th with Dora. Information only. Is there a motion to bring that to the floor for consideration and discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Do we have any representatives of Jeff Fest this afternoon? Welcome.
Hi. Here. My name is Megan Bombrick, 208 East High Street. This is a bit of an informational just to kind of get you guys all caught up with what we're doing. We've been doing this for over a decade now, but it's a little different this year. Our attendance is usually about 200 to 300 people. We used to do it on Jefferson Street, but after the frame shop closed, we moved around the corner to our Huntington Arts Center. Family friendly. We're having food trucks. We're kind of taking it back to the roots this year. We're doing a taste of Huntington. So everything's going to be sample sized. We're really trying to push that home with all of our vendors so everybody can go around and just sample everything so you're not stuffed after just two things. We're going to try it all. So we're going to have live music. We're trying to get the Erie Band. We're trying to get the Huntington Jazz Band, I believe we have, and some others. Let's see. we're working on our DORA application. I guess we're the first ones, so we're working on it. Yeah, we are doing that on Sunday, June 15th, the day of Heritage Days. So it's Father's Day. Bring the family, bring the kids. It's always a good time. We have everything turned into Angie at the chamber, and we're working on Dora to get it to the rest of the department heads. Any questions?
And so for today, I see it noted as information only in the agenda. So as you get things finalized, it'll come back again.
Yes,
then for
we'll come
approval.
back once we get everything. I know we need to get it about the week before, but I think I'm not the one doing the application for Dora, but Anne's got her plate, and I think it's giving her. So I just wanted to get this on the books and let you. We've got the first part done. Oh, and I'm also working on. I'm hoping. That is going to beg and plead for volunteers, and I had one, but he's going to be on vacation. But yeah, we're working on.
What time is it?
I believe it's 5:30 to 8:30. I'm just the messenger. But yes, somewhere in between there.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep,
And then it'll get
food,
firmed up
family.
with the final application.
Yes, it's on there. Like I said, it got turned in. But family, fun, art, it's for a good cause. Support Huntington.
Okay.
So, anything else?
We'll look forward to seeing the formal application.
Yep, we'll be back.
Thank you. Next item under new business is a special event request. Sabrina Newcomb, Market Street Bar, and Aaron as well from Legends. Several events and dates. Is there a motion to bring this to the floor for consideration?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Welcome. State your name and address for the record, please.
Sabrina Newcomb, 1754 State Mine Street, Huntington.
Erin Keel, 711 Woodlawn Street, Huntington.
Okay, tell us about the dates in question and your proposal.
Okay, so we actually applied for 4 different events. We're trying to do an event each month starting in June. So our first event actually falls the weekend after Heritage Days. We want to do a community garage sale. So how I've done in the past with blocking just off in front of, from Warren to Jefferson Street in front of our establishments, basically like a block party. Each time we are wanting to do a community garage sale from like 12 to 6, which would be Saturday, June 21st. Thank you. That would be the first one. So it would just block off in front of our establishments. We'll leave the sidewalks open as normal. Everything would be held within the street. We just want to barricade each end, and then we'll leave the middle open so the emergency vehicles get through. We do want to activate our DORA during this time, which we turn in all of our paperwork. Bar setup would be actually set up out in front of Legends. We will fence that off so that kids can't get in and out of that area. It will just, and then we'll set up tables along the sides there in the parking spots. And we're basically just trying to bring people downtown to kind of roam around, and then they can sell their stuff. The money that we raise that day, we want to use for our back-to-school event in August, so we're wanting to do backpacks. I've talked to some of the local barbers. We're going to have them try and come down, do haircuts that day for our August event. So the money that we raise for the June event will go towards that. In July will be the regular event that I hold every year for the Dennis Newcomb Foundation, because we're still trying to raise that money to eventually hopefully purchase a piece of property in town and make some mini houses. That's the ultimate goal for the homeless. So that one, we're actually running the events from 12 to 11. The daytime, we're running 12 to 6. That's more like kid-friendly. We're trying to do, more things for the families during that time. And then from 6 on, we're trying to do more of like karaoke, DJ. For 2 of the events, I'm trying to book bands. So July would be the first one that we would have a band. For the June one, we are gonna just do like karaoke and DJ outside. We want to basically keep people downtown, and then we'll clean everything up like we do at 11 so that the roads will be back open by no later than midnight. So in August is when we wanted to do the back to school event, which it's the weekend before school would actually start. So the ultimate goal was to get like backpacks, stuff like that for the kids to go back to school. And we're hoping with like donations and everything that we can get a bunch for the kids around Huntington and have that. And like I said, we were wanting to bring in like some of the local barbers, stuff like that, to do haircuts while we're down there. That evening we would be doing a karaoke and DJ thing, but we're actually doing like a little theme where you dress how you were in high school. So just to make it a little fun that evening. And then our fall festival we want to do is the last one in September. And I've talked to some of the people. We want to bring just like a small like animal petting zoo down for the kids during that day. We'll have like little rides. We're wanting to do like kind of like a pumpkin decorating contest for the kids and stuff, which that money that we raise will then roll into hopefully more events that we do next year. So the ultimate goal is to bring people downtown for different events each month during the summer. And like I said, make it more family friendly, especially during the day. We do want to activate our Dora on one of the events, and we would have the bar set up outside and blocked off so that adults can actually enjoy as well. There's a lot of applications, so I guess you can just come at me with it and I'll try and go the best I can.
Board members, questions or discussion points?
All events are in the same location and the same time.
Yes, we're running, of course, they normally block the streets off for me early that day so we can start setting up. So they normally block them off for me by 8, and then we always open them back up by between 11 and 12 that night, because we always try and have our entertainment done by 11. We clean up and move the barricades so everybody can get out. But everything will be in front of just our individual blocks there, how we've done it previously. Barricade the ends of this and then just the alleyway. But like I said, we keep things out of those areas in case. That's what we've done.
If I remember right, too, your crew has done a good job of sweeping through to pick up anything that didn't make it into trash or recycling containers.
Yeah, we always go through and clean everything. Actually, we've been pretty fortunate.
People have done a pretty good job.
They've done a good job on my July events of keeping it clean. We put trash cans out throughout, so they've really haven't had any issues.
And how many years have you been doing the
So this
Dennis's?
year will be the 5th year for the dentist. And then, like I said, we bring some new stuff downtown.
And we've had no issues with any of those. I mean, okay. So good track record. Not with this.
Do any of these dates conflict with music in the city?
They actually, there's two of them, I believe it's the July one and the September one, which last year, my July event ran with music. So it was kind of nice because people bounced back and forth
I
to
think
the
there's
events because of Franklin Street that was right behind us, so they just used, I believe it's the July event, which is 12th or 13th.
July 12th and September
And then
13th.
the September one, I think you have music in this,
I think there's only, what, 3 music in the cities this year?
sounds of people walking. Because we did check on that. With the door all being new, had a lot of questions and spent a lot of time researching it, and
Right.
so actually we've kind of got some here and
So the street sale is from noon to 6,
correct.
and then the other 3 are from noon.
Well, the street sale is from noon to 6, and then from 6 on, we're gonna do, we'll have music playing throughout the day, kind of like how you guys do the car show, where you just have music in the background. We'll have that playing throughout the whole day, but, after 6, we are going to do, karaoke from like 6 to 11. Which we're using our people, they're gonna do a couple hours each out there, so it's not one long haul for one person. But, yeah, we're gonna do just the karaoke.
And the other 3 events are
They're
noon.
from noon. So the July one, we always do a bike ride. Normally, the kickstands go up. And why I'm on that is whenever so technically that event doesn't normally kick off until about 3, and then that'll run till 11. We'll have the bikes down there early, before we take off, and then normally this year I think we're going, so it'll be about a 3-hour trip. And then once we get back, that's where we'll kick off everything outside. Normally do a pool tournament on the side for the bars, so people back and forth there. This year, we're gonna do cornhole again. That went over pretty well last year. So, that will run till 11 as well. That night, I'll probably have a, right around 7:30 to 11.
What's your average attendance of the Newcomb Foundation event? Each year it's kind of gotten a little bigger. Last year, it was so hot outside that it was in our establishments because we had like a just god-awful hot day last year. So, in the evening, there was more out because it cooled down a little bit, but throughout the day, it was so hot that everybody kind of indoors until it cooled off a little. But it normally I normally have, to start off with, last year we actually, that we had, and we had around 40 bikes and the ride all came back. Of course, we serve food back at 8 and stuff, which on that day, we normally do karaoke early. We'll do karaoke early, and like I said, I'm trying to do a band for that event, July. The nice part about it is normally music in the city is kind of getting over with when mine's starting, so people kind of wander down the alley to listen to them, because theirs is a little early.
that's how it kind of worked out.
Now, what about other businesses right in there? Have you had any issues with other?
No, actually, everybody's been pretty great. So, this year with doing extra events, I'm gonna go talk to them and see if
Yeah.
they want to put like things out.
Mhm.
I know Candy has talked about doing some stuff with us, so I'm gonna talk to her and see
So
if
the
she wants
boutique
to
is
do.
there too. They might want to get.
Yeah, and
Like a
they
sidewalk
have the
sale.
new Mexican restaurant down there. So I was gonna, which it's right on the corner, so it doesn't really affect them, but they might get more foot traffic that day. But I didn't know if they're gonna want to partake in anything. I go and talk to them personally, and they want to partake in anything, let them know kind of are, and everybody's been pretty great on. I haven't had any complaint about it. And normally with bringing a little more foot traffic down, they kind of benefit from it. Like the Antiecology, when it was still open, they definitely were benefiting from like the July events because people were going getting ice cream and stuff. So, yeah, I haven't had it. I will definitely make my rounds after I know exactly what we're doing.
Well, first and foremost, appreciate your efforts to continue driving more activity into downtown and the way you've worked with the other local businesses to accommodate both vehicle traffic and foot traffic with them. I apologize in advance. I'm going to make this less convenient for you, but given the fact that this is the first year with the DORA and we're going to be learning a lot through this, what I would request from the board is that we actually split this into 4 requests. We do one event at a time, and then we're able to gather again and look at what feedback do we need to do and learn from each event and just keep tightening it up. Maybe we get it right 100% on the first one. That's great. We can just duplicate from there. But is that something you'd be open to? Because that's the way I'd like to
You just want
handle
me
it.
to come back and see you.
I want to see it
Oh.
4 more times. That's right. That's exactly it.
You
So
coulda just-
postage is expensive these days, and it's just easier to
I
tell you. I'd like
know,
to see it come
it's
back.
fine.
Will you to fill it out, refill it?
I think as long as there's not accommodations and changes,
Yeah,
like the
no.
plan's not going to change. It might just be the execution and details, the locations, the closures.
Okay.
That is something that you guys have been doing for several years now,
Yeah.
so I don't imagine that's going to change. So I don't think you have to resubmit paperwork each time. So, but that way we can all come back, discuss it again, learn where we need to learn. In that, my request as well, as we get closer to them, would be for the dates in July and September. So the chamber has expressed concern that it's overlapping. If there are alternate dates that work, can you look at that and then bring that back to us? Otherwise, just let us know one way or the other when we get into those meetings.
The
And
problem
then-
with the July date is, because of us doing the bike ride, the reason we always do it the weekend after, the 4th of July is because the following 2 weekends after that, they have Weitzel, they have,
Just scheduling conflicts
Yeah.
for participants.
they have big events that are elsewhere.
Yep.
So when it comes to the ride, which a lot of the friends are riders and they
Mhm.
the ride, if I schedule it any later in July,
Okay.
that's why I always do it.
And how about the September 13th date?
The September 13th, we just changed that. I can move it to the weekend after, which would be the
20th?
we originally were gonna do the 20th, and we changed it because staffing reasons. I'm gonna have some staff out at.
Well, we've got time before then, but I would like you to explore that possibility.
Yeah.
And then on the August 2nd date with Back to School, are you coordinating with the community back-to-school fair that occurs? And do we know the dates for that this year?
I don't know who does all of that. I talked to, Jimmy, who normally does his own back-to-school event. He's been doing one for several years, and he does the haircuts. I spoke with him, and he was down to, like, do an
Sure.
event with us with the haircuts and stuff. But I wasn't sure who actually
Just with the
does
backpacks
that.
and other things, so I believe if you would check with United with Love or the Family Life Center downtown, they would be able to coordinate with you on the dates. It's okay that they're separate events, but I think it would be good to coordinate and make sure that as you're serving families, you're doing so in a way that really helps everything get to where it needs to get with families. So if you can make that contact with them as it gets,
Like, raise money to
I mean, given some of the things coming down the road towards the school system, and that might be a great way to support families in
I
the
mean,
community.
we're down to do
Yep.
however we can help the.
Yeah, so
only
my
thing is
request
just
would
making
be,
sure nobody goes without.
right, and my request would be to go ahead and connect with the organizers of those primary events in the community, make sure that you're dovetailing with it instead of duplicating it.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that then, any further discussion or questions by board members? So can we get a motion then to approve the special event request for June 21st? And then recognizing that the other events will come back subsequently.
So question, because the June 21st and then the next one's July, will we be able to get guys in
Yep.
between that time?
Yep, we're here 2 Mondays out of the month, so we'll get you in.
Okay.
Yep,
I was just making sure, because I didn't want it to, since you want to see me, so.
yeah, that's right, yep. Yeah, I believe the July 7th, the next Board of Works meeting after June 21st. That's what I show on my calendar. So we would have you back in at that meeting, which still gives 2 weeks for adjusting the plan. Yep.
Is that right?
Sorry, yeah, I was reading that in reverse, so, but that, again, and that would basically be tweaks for execution at that
Okay.
point. I don't think it would interfere with your dates or promotion, so.
Well, I make a motion,
To approve the June 21st event?
correct.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion, consideration? Not hearing any, we'll call the question in favor of approval of the June 21st event, and looking forward to hearing and learning more about the others as we go forward. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, Director Keplinger, service agreement for River Fork West Water Main. Is there a motion to bring that to the floor for consideration and approval?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, Director Keplinger.
Yes, I have a proposal here from Engineering Resources for additional services. As you all know, some years ago, the city, through a competitive process, picked an engineering firm to assist us with the various tasks of the River Fork West Industrial Park and getting infrastructures, the site developed, or the public infrastructure developed, and the park laid out, essentially. In that initial stages of thinking through the industrial park, we assumed that over time, as the park grew out, it would essentially, we would extend the infrastructure internally within that park until we got it towards the back, adjacent to the railroad, and then we would obviously do what we needed to do to loop the system from basically the industrial park going up under the railroad, under the Sigmund Heron Baker drain, under the Little River, and to West Park Drive. We are at a point now where, for lack of better terms, the chicken or the egg has come before the chicken, so to speak. And so we are preparing and have long entered into an contract extension previously for the work of getting it from basically West Park Drive to the railroad tracks. In that window, no additional development has occurred to date other than Teijin. And so what we need to do is execute this agreement for an extension to design essentially that phase of the project from Tajin on Progress Drive where the water main ends to the railroad, and then we are all within an existing agreement. So the proposal from Engineering Resources before you is for additional fee for service for $40,200. And that would get us water designed for that crossing. In addition to that, some of that's dealing with the railroad and their various permitting requirements. And so, Adam and I feel like that's a fair cost for that work that we're proposing to have done. Last Friday, the Redevelopment Commission authorized that expenditure and moved money around, so they will be paying for that. And so I bring it to you fully funded from TIF funds and requesting approval of this agreement and authorizing the mayor to sign.
Thank you, Director Keplinger. Further discussion, consideration, or questions by board members?
This is a full set of construction documents?
This takes this all the way to bidding plans, yes.
Okay.
And then we would, once the project is bid and the contractor is selected, then we would come back for probably some construction administration at that point in time, but
Great.
incrementally checking those off.
Thank you.
Further questions? Not hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor of the recommendation to sign the service agreement for River Fork West Water Main. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, Director Cutress has a license agreement for fence encroachment at 317 Howenstein Road. Is there a motion to bring that to the floor for consideration and adoption?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Director Cutress.
Yes, what this is the business at 317 Howenstein Road constructed a fence. I believe they previously had a fence. They replaced that fence, constructed a new fence within the easement over top of a sanitary sewer. That is something that we do allow in rare instances once we look at each individual case. And in this case, with the construction of the fence over top of our sanitary sewer line, we decided the best course of action forward would be a license agreement that allows the construction of the fence, but also protects the city in any event we need to work on that sewer. That fence would either be removed by the property owner or by the city at no cost to the city, and then not be required to be replaced by the city so that we can maintain that sanitary sewer. The red line you see there on the map shows the location of the fence. It basically straddles over top of the sanitary sewer line. The easement is highlighted in green there on your screen. After working with community development and the property owner, they have executed the agreement. It would be my recommendation that the board authorize the mayor to sign this agreement, allowing that fence to remain in the easement.
Further question or discussion regarding the recommendation?
Was that just a screen for some mechanical equipment they have sitting there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I believe all their HVAC equipment is back there.
How big's the main?
That is, I don't remember off the top of my head. I do believe it's like an 18-inch sewer main.
Further questions? Not hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor of the recommendation. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Board of Public Works and Safety Resolution 2025-9. Is there a motion to bring that to the floor for consideration and approval?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Mr. Harper.
Good afternoon, thank you. The Board of Public Works and Safety Resolution 2025-9, if adopted, would authorize the city to make a purchase of some heavy equipment that it has been looking for a while. There were some departmental considerations or concerns for delivery dates, and that's why the city is moving forward on this purchase. Last Tuesday, the Common Council of the city did an additional appropriation for the city's share of the funds towards this purchase, and the balance would be financed through the Indiana Bond Bank using Crossroads, I'm sorry, I'm going to space bank. Crossroads Bank, sorry, Crossroads Bank. And the materials included a lease purchase agreement and some schedules. I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Questions or discussion by board members for Mr. Harburg on the matter? Seeing or hearing any at this time, we'll call the question in favor of approval of Resolution 2025-9. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving along on the agenda, under ordinance enforcement, we have a public hearing on 703 First Street. Are there any members of the public here to address the board regarding the property in question? Not seeing or hearing any at this time, we'll close the public hearing on 703 First Street and move along to order of enforcement regarding same said property. Is there a motion to open discussion and consideration of order of enforcement on 703 First Street?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Commissioner Paul.
Good afternoon. Yes, the property is 703 First Street. The owner is S. Chandler Kidd, 514 First Street. The order of enforcement was issued on June 23rd, 2025. There were 10 unsafe violations, 15 minimum housing violations, along with 14 corrective measures for compliance. The deadline date to complete the corrections is May 23rd, 2025. I've had no contact with the owner. Inspection was attempted twice. No one showed up either time. Not heard anything back since the order was issued. Received any information from them as far as a timeline as to when things will be corrected. Nothing has been corrected.
Questions or discussion by board members?
You've only seen the outside?
I was on the interior in 2017, 2021. There had been a fire in the back porch kitchen area. When the current owner purchased the property, it was after that event. So there was a minimal damage on the first floor in that back room. The rest of the house was in not bad a condition at all in the interior. Their intentions, and I met with them in 2021, was to get that fixed up and then rent it out.
So it's been sitting vacant since '21?
Yes. It was sitting vacant, I think, even before that for a while.
Know when the fire was?
They purchased the property in 2017, and the fire was prior to that. The main areas of concern are the roof and then the front second-story window over the porch. It had recently blew out, and there's a bus stop out front there. So the neighbors had complained because there was broken glass all over the front sidewalk where all the kids were standing and walking, and they were worried about additional windows blowing out.
Is it slate under the tile or the roof that's blowing out?
It's another layer of asphalt.
It's another layer of asphalt. I couldn't
Yes.
tell. It's just the color.
I'm just going to assume that when this layer that's laying on the ground was put on, it was put on over more than 2 layers.
So is the
Installed
upper
correctly.
unit rentable when they purchased it? In your opinion?
75%, 90%.
Okay.
Yes, just needed a few tweaks on things, and it would have been ready to go.
So the owner lives
Nearby.
down the street.
2 blocks
Okay.
south.
Okay, so at this time then, board members, if there's no further questions, is there a motion to affirm the order of enforcement and the deadline date? Can you verify that deadline,
Commissioner Paul?
May 23rd.
All of us.
Friday, May 23rd.
Correct. The next Board of Works meeting after that would be June 2nd.
Is there a motion to affirm the order?
Yeah, I would move to affirm the order with the deadline date of May 23rd. And we assess a fine of $2,500 to be put into effect if the owner fails to meet the next deadline.
I second that.
Okay, so there's a motion to affirm the order of in consideration of assessing a fine of $2,500 for willful failure to comply should the owner not comply prior to Friday, May 23rd. Is that correct? Is there a second on that motion?
I second.
Second. Further discussion and consideration?
Could we go ahead and require that there's a status hearing on June 2nd?
Do I need to amend that, or
You want to amend your motion?
amend my motion to require a status hearing on May 15th?
June 2nd.
Sorry, June 2nd.
Yeah, what he said.
I have a motion to affirm the order of enforcement with a deadline of Friday, May 23rd, to potentially assess a fine for willful failure to comply of $2,500 should that deadline not be met with a status hearing on June 2nd. And that's the second.
Second.
Further discussion and consideration of the motion? Not hearing any at this time. We'll call the question in favor of the motion to affirm the order of enforcement as noted. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not aware of any other items for the miscellaneous, under miscellaneous for the good of the order. Moving along to accounts payable. Is there a motion to authorize payment of the bills incurred by the city of Huntington?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion and consideration. Call the question in favor of authorizing payment of the bills incurred by the city of Huntington. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned. Have a great rest of your week.